I'm Deanna, and I'm with Stop the Traffik. I joined the society this year. Part of the reason why I'm here tonight is to discuss what human trafficking is and how it affects people across the globe, millions of people. Although my experiences aren't firsthand, I got the opportunity to interact with both survivors and current members of modern slavery in Asia. So with those experiences and my time spent living abroad, I developed a passion to bring this issue to light. I wanted to make it known, like what's happening, because a lot of people don't. So once arriving at the University of Nottingham, I was ecstatic to find Stop the Traffik, an organization that aligns with my ideals and my vision. Hopefully we can help to end human trade. So, to begin with, what is human trafficking? A long definition by the UN, but essentially, it involves the movement of people through various means and the intention of exploitation. This can be through prostitution, forced sexual exploitation, labor, organ removal, a lot of nasty stuff. So, it's important because this issue has become the #2 global crime, just behind drug trafficking and sales. So I'm going to talk about 2 countries I personally have experience with, and the first is Thailand. And this is just a little background. Thailand is a beautiful country. I don't know if anyone here has visited, but wonderful culture, lovely people, beautiful landscape, but human trafficking is very blatant there. If you take a closer look, Thailand ranked 10 out of 167 countries for total number of slaves. Further, 818,000 child laborers that aren't included in the human trafficking statistics. That's a massive amount, and this is only of what's been reported. So if you have been to Thailand, you see the sex industry and child beggars are quite common scene there. And it's really sad to see. And especially since most of these people have been forced into it or coerced. My time in Thailand was for a different reason. It wasn't solely just to see how human trafficking affected the population. I went there to teach English. Yet while I was there, doing my ESL training as a teacher, I had the opportunity to meet 2 young women that were working in a local massage parlor. They wanted to learn some English, and I volunteered to help them. They thought it would help them in their industry. So while that was really rewarding to teach them English, it was hard at the same time because they had been tricked into going into this massage parlor. They were from eastern Thailand, a very poor region, and they had been coerced to come to Phuket, a tourist island in the south, and with the promise that all this money that they would make down there would go home to their families, help support them. But that wasn't the case. Further, they felt like they couldn't go back home for the shame they would bring to their families for their activities in the massage parlor with these foreign men. It's a sad story, but it's quite common in Thailand. The second country I lived in is China. Now, China also has a very interesting culture, beautiful landscape, but it also has a human trafficking problem. It's #2 for global slaves, 3.2 million. But what's disconcerting, they don't even report child labor. So how many child laborers are there? Now, in China, it's quite common for forced labor to occur because you have factories manufacturing for international companies. These investors go to China for cheap labor. They don't know all the time who that labor is. In addition, though, China has a problem with the movement of girls for child rights, because China has the one-child policy. And there has been a huge preference for male fetuses over female, skewing the population, and so it's become a problem. Similar experience in China. I came there to teach English to the locals, enjoyed it, had no idea that human trafficking was going on there, because unlike in Thailand, where it's very blatant in your face, on the street, China is more hidden. In fact, I wouldn't have known about it unless it were for my friend, a local Chinese girl. She was telling me her experience as the second child in a country that only has one-child policy. She was born to a rural family, very poor, but because she lived in the countryside, they were able to hide her for several years, until the neighbors reported her. The government showed up, took their home, took their belongings, threw them out. The family had no choice. They made a decision that day to leave her in a barn in the countryside. She was 7 years old. And at that time, a group of men came for her in the barn, because they heard there was a girl staying there, and tried to take her, to sell her as a child bride. She escaped, and she's one of the lucky ones. My experiences in Thailand and China opened my eyes to the scale of this issue. It's massive. Human trafficking is everywhere. Even in the UK, as shown here, it's 124 out of 167 nations. We rank higher in total number of slaves than countries like Kosovo, Estonia, Djibouti, and Brunei. Currently, Stop the Traffik is looking at India. And why India? It's the number one for human trafficking, number of slaves, with 14.2 million and 26 million child laborers, which is not included in those statistics for human trafficking. So specifically, we're looking at Sumangali and the fashion industry. What is Sumangali? It's a trafficking scheme in India with over 200,000 reported cases of young girls being forced into these, or coerced into these factories to produce garments under horrendous conditions. Often they become ill from the cotton fibers they're inhaling, eye infections, breathing problems, stomach pains. Some have even gone deaf from the machines that they're operating. But a lot of people don't view this as human trafficking because of the fact that they go willingly. But that's for the promise of the funds and the financial ease that will go to their family. They have no idea what the conditions are going to be like when they get there, and they cannot escape. So at the University of Nottingham, we started to raise awareness for our society, what we do. Last term, we were trying to just let people know how it actually affects everyone. Like, where do your clothes come from? Who manufactures them? What about your food, your sweets, school supplies? These are questions we're asking ourselves, and now we ask of you. Is the University of Nottingham a slave-free university? Does it responsibly look down the supply chain to see where our products and materials are coming from? Will we find a slave at the end of that line? So we have a vision that the University of Nottingham will join us in making our university slave-free. And now we're going to show you a video more about human trafficking issue, and Ollie will talk more about our vision and our society as a whole. Thank you.